everybody! Felicitations! Welcome to me and my show. Welcome to me? What did that make any sense? I am so happy to be here with a dear friend who I've known a long time, Mark Sheppard. So this is a wonderful live podcast. I appreciate everybody on Twitch watching live and anybody who's listening later. After our interview for the Twitch audience, I'll be playing around with my Lenormand deck and telling some fortunes. Hopefully not pulling coffin cards for people like I did last time, and then playing some Fortnite with jars. So anyway, it's a lot. I'm going to bring Mark Sheppard onto the stage, and if you guys want to ask any questions, please leave them in the chat, and my wonderful mods will try to pick them out. But other than that, we're just going to spend a wonderful hour with a wonderful person, Mark Sheppard!
Hey there, Felicia. How are you, my darling?
I'm really happy to see you.
You too.
It has been a while. It's been too long, man.
Well, we've been, we sort of lost a year and a half no matter what. And we usually intersect with each other either in Comic-Con or other fun places like that.
I come in again having play dates with your kiddo.
True.
Your
You're welcome
lovely
anytime.
wife.
We're all fully vaccinated. Where'd you go?
I don't know. I have this new camera. Well, I have this new Elgato camera, which is really nice, as you can see, but I clearly didn't prop it up properly.
You know what? Though some very clever person is going to pull up every single one of those frames and see what you didn't see whenever that dropped to the floor.
You know, the only thing you're going to see is a very dirty floor and some, I don't know about you, but I have the privilege of being sent free stuff. You actually get much better free stuff than I do. I'll get like a basketball hoop with HBO Max on it, or like some Magic the Gathering cards. And you seem to get like guitars and bikes and things. I don't know how do you work it, man?
Well, the weird thing is I've never been that guy. I mean, I remember when I was playing drums, well, I guess from the age of 12 onwards, I worked in a drum shop, so I had discount for some of the things I had. But the equipment that I use is always expensive. There's a lot of disposable things with drums, sticks and skins, stuff like that. And I just, I know what the best stuff in the world is, and I've been lucky enough to buy it whenever I could afford it. And years later, the logical thing is when I became somebody who had a profile both in music and in what we do, it was just a logical progression to express my loyalty to the people that I've actually been working with for 40 odd years. So Zildjian and Remo and DW are the greatest companies in the world. There are no better companies in those fields. Mm-hmm. And I'm proud to be sort of that weird guy that doesn't go around saying, what are you going to give me for free, but just has always used the same products. I mean, I'm a massive Fender fan. Fender have been so good to me over the years. My kids playing both bass and keyboards, and he's at 21. He's massively rocking the bass, and Fender facilitated him. It's not usually free stuff that I get because the stuff that I like costs way too much money.
Of course.
But
it's nice to have that relationship, and they throw in
Ducatis. But they reward loyalty. They've always rewarded loyalty, and it's something that's missing in a lot of things nowadays. Like, I'm on HBO Max, by the way. I'm on HBO
I have a basketball hoop here they sent me.
Great. They don't send me anything. They have never sent me a thing.
I will give this to you. It's literally sitting. Okay, I'll show you what I got. No, I'm going to show you, Mark. Okay, I got. Okay, this is what I got, and it's not really anything.
We'll keep ourselves entertained while we're waiting.
I'm showing you this because I refuse. I refuse. Okay, I'm going to show you this. Okay, I got a basketball hoop. Okay. Right. A basketball hoop that I really don't want. It's pretty. It's not that great. Okay.
It's mine.
Then we've got it's a s'mores pack, but it's been there for 2 weeks, so I don't think I'm going to actually use the s'mores. You know what I'm saying? Okay, so that's another thing. Let's see what else I got.
I have watched you do this for years, and the thing I have so much respect for you about is that when it's difficult enough being an actor in this town, it is difficult enough, and we've all been part of that gurney wheel where we're young and we were fighting against top people for top jobs, seriously top jobs, big jobs, and then for whatever reason, well, you're a lot prettier than me, but I'm saying for whatever reason,
you work a lot more than me, Mark.
Well, the weird thing is that is a perception that a lot of people have, but the truth is is talent isn't always the given. There is also, and especially nowadays, there's exposure and everything else. And why I absolutely am in awe of what you've done over the last few years is that you built yourself a world around the people who support you the most. And that's, you've never been jaded. There's nothing you've ever done that's ever been anti-fan. I hate that word, fanatic. But that's the thing. And it's the same thing with the loyalty you're talking with me with Ducati or even with Aston Martin and people like that. It's like, loyalty is worth way more than clicks. It really is. And if you know what companies you like to work with, and you know what studios and what networks you like to work with, and what game studios you like to work with, and you've always been really, really savvy about positioning yourself in a place where they weren't necessarily able to take massive advantage of you. Right?
Yeah.
Do you know what I'm saying?
I'm like a little bird. I like to be, I like to be in somebody's open hands in a cage. And every time I get too involved in the Hollywood thing, I'm like, you're not happy here. You got,
your thing.
Yeah, it's not my thing. So I appreciate that. I also got a bead kit for Summer Together, HBO Max.
I literally am on HBO Max on one of the coolest shows I've ever been on in my life, and they have sent me nothing. I have to literally call up and say, can I actually get to see an episode? Or do I have to wait? It's like,
yeah. So this is okay. You know what? I'm going to drive to your house and I'm going to give you the pièce de résistance. It is Space Jam branded family size mac and cheese Space Jam. Okay, look at that. Look at that. It doesn't even look the box is so badly designed that you can't even tell what's the front and the back. You know what I'm saying? It's just, I'm like, is this the front? Is this the front?
Well, it's the smiley face. They're going for the smiley face at the front there.
Yeah, I don't know what the theme is. It looks like it just has a basketball and a rabbit, but I'm like, where's this guy? Huh?
Yeah,
I would want to be made in noodle form.
I'd love to be made in noodle. I've been made in everything from pillow form to, you've got Funkos, I got Funkos.
Yes.
So that was the other things. I had no Funkos, and there's this lovely girl that works at Funko. Certainly is. I don't know if she's still there now, but she was so annoyed by the fact that I didn't have a Funko, and she worked there. So she decided to make one and told the bosses, this is ridiculous, you need to make one. And it became this massive thing at Comic-Con where Misha made me, everybody else had a Funko and I didn't. So he made me one out of a Star
I remember
Wars.
that. I remember that.
But you know, it was a piece of broccoli,
yeah,
some tin foil, and some popsicle sticks. And it became this thing. And then eventually they made one. And now I've got like, I don't have anything for Firefly. I don't have anything, you know, they made, oh my God, they made a plastic model of me for Firefly. And I look like Dick Van Dyke. But with Jay Leno's chin, I have the longest face you've ever seen. I'm like, that doesn't even look like me. It's not even
There's nothing worse than having, like, you're so excited. They make a maquette of you, and then you're just like, who is this person? Who is this face? There was one, they did this huge standee. I think it was QMX, and God bless them. They really tried. And I went and I was like, just let me come in and model my face for you, because this is a attractive person. It is nowhere resembles my face at all. Not even the same color eyes. I was like, guys. So they did a great job and they modeled the face and everything. But it's very hard.
They live in a lot of them live in their own world and assume that we don't actually want to be part of it. Whereas we're vain enough that we'd at least like it to represent us in some way.
I know. And you do video game. Have you ever done a video game character that kind of looked like you? Or do you usually just voice a character that's kind of already done and you kind of put your...
There've been a couple of opportunities to mocap or do that stuff, but it hasn't happened in that way. The stuff, I just had fun doing the most amazing experience. Because I did a lot of promo stuff over the years. Like I was doing Doctor Who, right? And I was with the head of BBC America walking in a lake in Utah, Lake Powell, I think. And it was something, he goes like, do you do promos? I'm like, no, not really. He goes, do you want to? I'm like, sure. So I ended up being the voice of BBC America for about 3 years.
Are you kidding?
Until they found somebody
cheaper. How did you get this? You seem to stumble. Here, I think you just get yourself in the right company and you stumble into amazing opportunities, because you just rattled off Firefly, Supernatural, Doctor Who, several other, Battlestar. You've been you were in Warehouse 13. You were in Leverage. Like, you've been on every single, thank you for the gift subs, everybody. You have been on every single major show. How do you, I still haven't gotten the Mark Sheppard magic.
How do you know what it is?
Yeah, what is it?
I'll tell you what it is. Look, we're all talented. Us and our friends. We know those of us that can actually do a job when they get a job. All right. If you
Yeah.
take that as a given, and the rest of it is about taste, for example, that's it. All right. Okay. I have been so lucky that the writers, and this is the writers who are now executive producers, the writers who were writers that became executive producers, had experiences with me when I was guest starring in something, and decided to write me into something. And Javier Grillo-Marxuach, one of my favorite people on the planet,
Oh,
who
he's so
introduced me to Naren
incredible.
Shankar, who introduced me to Ron Moore. These are all
Oh,
people who have written for me.
yeah.
Javier he's a god as far as I'm concerned. He's a wonderful, wonderful writer.
He
But
did the
like
middle, right? The middle?
but he did
Not
Middleman,
the middleman.
Middleman.
That's it.
But
Oh, that was
he
such
has
a good show.
he has Emmys for the Dark Crystal, which he just did, and
Oh,
he
so
has
good.
I know he's I love him. I think he's one of the most talented human beings I've ever met. But I used to, when I was on Battlestar, which was, I showed up in Ron's kitchen because his Wi-Fi wasn't working. He's like, "Can you come fix my Wi-Fi?" I said, "Sure." So I rode over to Altadena and worked on his Wi-Fi. And he said, "Oh, I have something for you." And I'm like, "What?" And he goes, "3 episodes of Battlestar. I think you'll like it. It's not like anything else you've ever done." And I found out later that the mandate he had given Michelangelo, the writer, who had never met me, was that he kept saying to Angelo, he goes, "Do more, Mark can do more." And so I ended up with this script. He just hands me the script. And I'm like, holy crap. And it's
Wow.
27 pages of dialogue in my first thing.
Wow.
And the weirdest thing was I was walking onto a show that everybody had been there for 3 years. And sorry about spoilers, too late. I mean, years too late. But Starbuck
Battlestar
had
is
just died
it's
in the
spoiler
episode before. Starbuck had just died. So I went to a set that was basically a moratorium that nobody knew this was happening. And I walked in there and they're like, "Who did you whatever to get this job?" Because it's poetry. It was literally 27 pages of poetry.
Wow.
It was the most fantastic experience. And then you've got John Rogers, who, Amy Berg and John Rogers were both on.
I love
on
both of
Leverage.
them.
And Dean, but I used to show Battlestar at my house whenever I did an episode, and I'd invite everyone over, and it was all writers and not that I don't know that many actors. I don't know. Maybe I'm just a sulky bastard.
No, I don't know. I don't know a lot of actors either. Like I would
No.
say that most of the people I hang out with are other writers, and that's kind of you are like a writer's actor. I think a lot of people they just can't wait. You have such a somebody said it in chat, like you have such a distinctive personality and look and attitude. It's just you walk on and you don't have to explain your character. You just are a character. And I think that's something that a lot of actors are afraid of doing. They're afraid of just being them, like bringing so much because they want to be a little bit malleable. But in fact, you being you gives yourself a lot more opportunities because you make it easy for the writer to write for you.
Well, the most amazing thing is, I mean, I can't even list the amount of writers that I truly love that I've worked for. I can remember the last time I worked for a writer who I wanted to kill. And I think that was on Mantis.
I don't know what that show is.
I was given a script. Carl Lumley was a superhero, and being directed by Kim Manners, who was the great Kim Manners, who went on to be show running Supernatural. And Kim had to direct me on an episode where I had lines like "the chrysostolic dawn of the cyberspatial age." Amazing what you did your job with neural something technology. Amazing what you did with those patents. And poor Carl Lumley, who's a wonderful actor, was literally looking at me going, "You poor bastard. I don't know how you are saying this stuff." And they would write me these pages of crap with nothing in the middle, just these pages of crap. And I remember the name of Carlton Eastlake III wrote it. That's who it was. And he wrote this, and then they gave me cherry pages, which if you know anything about scripts is probably what the 26.
I don't think I've ever seen cherry pages before.
I've been to double cherry on some shows, trust me. And with cherry pages, somebody decided to take the middle of a speech out that was a page and a half long. And I couldn't delete it from my head.
Well, yeah, of course you can't. If you memorize something like that, especially if it's such a big chunk, it's just like, hey guys, can you just let me do it and edit it out later? It takes 30 seconds, but it's going to mess me up more if you take the words away. And now I have to mentally like jump a page.
Well, Jack over on Warehouse 13, it was funny. They had this scene with the head of the Regions, and it was CCH Pounder, Saul Rubinek, and me. And it's 9 pages, and it had to be shot in one day. And I went, "Oh, who talks a lot? Let's get Sheppard." It was literally an offer to go and do a scene that established
Oh
this
my
character.
god. I mean, that is
So
kind of, but I mean, I have to say that a lot of the roles that were written for me, I just have tons of exposition of science dialogue, and then the series regulars are sitting there going, interesting theory. Yeah, I can see that. Well, we'll go down there. Let's go. Like they don't have to do any memorization. They're just like, I love it.
my Javier and I were doing The Middleman, doing an episode of The Middleman. There was an actor on it, which will remain nameless, but he just got a job on a big network show. And I can't say what the show is because you'll guess who it is.
Okay.
And we were so happy for him. We were just happy he's got this big gig and he's going to make, he's going to make money, and he's doing 20 episodes a year on, I can't remember whether it was CBS or ABC, one of those big shows, right?
Yeah.
And then Javier, being the writer that he is, pointed out, he says, you do realize your job is to speak pages of exposition, and the lead actor will then turn around and go, you're not right. This is actually how we're going to do it every single time. And I watched the show, and for about 9 episodes, he literally had to pour his guts out into these scenes, only to have an extraordinary actor go, nah, do this. I mean, the response was always this, and I'm like, you poor bastard. We were laughing so hard. But,
really earning his money.
It's just painful. But listen, I cannot tell you how much joy the writers, I mean, from Shoshana and Bunny Barons and all these people who have written when they were working, either Supernatural or whatever, or knew me from then or did whatever. When I got to Doom Patrol, the writers are just phenomenal.
I know. So how many episodes did you do of that? I haven't ever watched it because it was on the DC thing, and now it's on HBO Max, and now I can watch it. So now I would have dived in.
Your mind. It will blow your mind. Not that he needs any shouting about, but Brendan Fraser is extraordinary. And
he's really having a moment now.
Well, he's having a moment, not just because of anything else, but this has certainly helped because he's just such a lovely actor. So so Jeremy Carver, who was showrunner of Supernatural from 8 onwards, was a writer.
Really lovely guy. Yeah.
He's a truly brilliant man and has amazing taste in people. It's kind of like Gaiman, a few other people like that. Even Joss for a long time has really good taste in writers. And he called me up and he says, do you want to do Doom Patrol? And I'm like, 60s Doom Patrol or Grant Morrison Doom Patrol? He goes, kind of Grant Morrison. I'm like, oh, okay, this is going to be weird. I'm like, in a minute, I'll do it. Yeah. So we sorted it all out. He didn't talk to me. It was just became this thing where it was just sort of, will he do it? It was about the sum total of his communication with me. Wow. And I went there and I went to go play. And Timothy Dalton, Matt Bomer, Diane Guerrero, April Bowlby, Joy Van Wade, Alan Tudyk's in the first season. He's absolutely
Is he really?
Yeah, he's extraordinary in the first season. It's one of the best things I've ever seen him do.
He's such a good actor. Yeah, with the Juilliard. He's very Juilliard-y.
I didn't really get on with him because I didn't know him very well. And I never really worked with him on Firefly.
He's great.
I didn't really know him at all. And eventually I got to know him. And I think he's an absolutely superb human being. Again, fiercely loyal. But, and I'm looking at this show. And Jeremy said to me, he goes, you do realize you're not going to be working with Matt Bomer, who I did 5 years of White Collar with. He goes, you're not going to be working with Brendan. I'm like, how are you doing this? And he goes, well, I didn't pick stand-ins. I picked actors. I picked 2 phenomenal actors who nobody really knows and who are going to be the people who are going to be in those suits and doing the work with you. And I'm like, see how this works. I got to the set and Riley Shanahan, who plays Robot Man for Brendan, when I hear Brendan's voice in the final cut, I still hear Riley's delivery and his stuff. And Brendan's talked about this. He's absolutely phenomenal. His humor is the same. He's about the same size. I think he went to the same high school as Brendan, years apart. And the rhythms and the stuff. And Matt Bomer's character, which is Matthew Zook, plays that, who's just he's a great comedian. His timing's phenomenal. And Tim Dalton and I become friends and we hang out and we talk. And we're just like, these 2 have the worst jobs in Hollywood because they're doing all this work and nobody knows who they are.
So wait, because it's CGI. So basically they're just Brendan Fraser.
CGI.
It's all CGI.
No, it's super suits.
Oh, super suits. So
the
they're
best
doing
super suits you've ever seen.
So they're doing voiceover. Basically, Brendan Fraser and Matt are doing voiceover. and then they're
Uh-huh.
acting, but you still.
Until you get to all the flashbacks, which are the relevant parts of their entire construction as characters, which is them. But the
Oh.
day-to-day performances, and Brendan's very vocal about this, and Matt Bomer's very, very vocal. It's extraordinary, and these boys are extraordinary. The
That's
first line said to me
incredible.
is exactly the same as the delivery Riley Shannon had to me.
So I
literally
wonder if
laughed
can
my
they
butt
hear
off.
them? So they act, and then later they dub them over, essentially, right?
Yeah, and then so Matt and Brendan revoice, and I'm telling you, they don't move far from what was there. That's how good
Yeah.
these guys are.
Wow.
So I have a relationship with. I've never worked with Matt on Doom Patrol. I've never worked with Brendan on Doom Patrol.
That is really strange. I
And they're
had
brilliant.
no idea. I just haven't I haven't seen the show. I have to watch it now.
You'll
I just
love it.
didn't. I know I will. I'll also be jealous that everybody's in all those fabulous costumes. And isn't Julie McNiven? Wasn't Julie on there?
Julie plays Matt Bomer's wife
Flashback. In the flashbacks, yeah.
He's a gay pilot, test
Wow.
pilot, and he has a family and kids, but that pervades through the first season in a way you have no idea. This is the original idea that, to be polite and frank, that X-Men was taken from.
Ooh.
This
Wait a
is
minute.
very dark. It's
Yeah.
about mental health. It's beautiful. I mean, Crazy Jane is 64 personalities. Each one has its own superpower, and none of them are particularly good.
Wow.
But she's a product of trauma.
Yeah.
So you're dealing with the mental health aspects of this.
That's incredible. And are they doing another season? How many seasons? 3?
They just wrapped season 3.
Wow.
Which I can neither confirm nor deny that I'm in.
Oh.
And I'm playing Constantine.
Yeah, I mean,
Yes.
Wait, you're Constantine?
Yes, because Grant Morrison wasn't allowed to put Constantine in Vertigo Comics. So he was watching Withnail and I and decided that Richard E. Grant in Withnail and I was his prototype for a character called Willoughby Kipling. And it's a Knights Templar immortal with horrible diseases that can only be killed by himself. And it's Constantine. So it's just me and Maddie Ryan showing up at conventions is hysterical. I'm like the new unnamed Constantine. I actually spoke to Grant. I was like, "You based this on Richard E. Grant?" And he goes, "Yep." I said,
You
"Well, you're
talked
not
to
going to
Grant
get Richard E.
Morrison?
Grant."
Wait, you talked to Grant Morrison?
Yeah. Well, my buddy Liam Sharp had just done. Liam is one of my dearest friends on the planet. Liam Sharp is the artist that redid Wonder Woman, Batman the Brave and Bold, all that stuff. And then when he calls me up and he goes, "I'm doing your favorite character." And I'm like, "Oh God, no." And he goes, "Yep, Green Lantern." He goes, "You don't guess who I'm doing it with?" I'm like, "Who?" And he's like, "Grant Morrison." I said, "Oh God, this is going to be interesting." So if you read those series that they did together, it's unbelievable. It is so clever.
Wow.
Liam is a same kind of background as me. He's a heavy metal singer from sort of the middle of England during that sort of Birmingham new wave of British heavy metal time. And he and I have become very, very close friends. And he was actually at our wedding.
Wow.
The bald-headed guy that was at our wedding and him and Grant have gone on to do that. And Grant was doing Happy and doing all that stuff, but he's not an executive producer on this show.
Yeah.
But I just sent him an email and I was like, "Okay, so that's this." I said, "You're not going to get Richard E. Grant from me." If you're lucky, you'll get a drunk Mad Eye Moody.
Amazing. So okay, first of all, you're wowing everybody with your name dropping, but it's not dropping, it's just that you know everybody. I cannot stress to say that Mark Sheppard knows everybody in Hollywood, especially in the geek world, because even though you act like you don't necessarily act like a geeky person, you are like truly, your geek roots are very deep. Very deep. Yeah.
But it doesn't always work. My daughter she started watching Jurassic World and is totally and absolutely 100% in love with Chris Pratt. One point I'm like, "You like him?" She goes, "I'm not in love." I mean, so I knew this was serious.
She's not in love. She's 5 years old, by the way.
She's 5 years old. And she is totally in love with his character in Jurassic World. And she actually turned around and said, "Okay, Daddy's an actor. So he must know Chris Pratt. So let's go see Chris Pratt tomorrow." I don't know Chris Pratt, so
he's like the one person you don't know.
No, there's a lot of people I don't know.
I don't know.
There's a
I
lot of
believe
people.
that you could get to anybody through 4 Degrees and Mark Sheppard.
we did do that. We have done that, but you know, it's a weird thing. I never expected to be where I'm at with what I'm doing. My
Mhm.
dad was an actor for so many years, doing so much interesting and good stuff and more geeky stuff than I've ever done. 4 casts of Star Trek and all those amazing things he's done over the years. No longer with us, but I never expected to be doing that. And it just so happened that the genre, as we call it, which isn't really a genre, it's just the concept of fantasy, those things that aren't necessarily what's happening right now,
Yeah.
be it past, be it future, be it a different present, those stories are way more interesting to me to play characters in than bog standard procedurals. That being said, I did a guest star shot on what was that bloody show called? Was it Fast Lane or something? Bill Bellamy and Peter Fasinelli. And
Oh,
the
wow.
writer on that episode was called Alexandra Cunningham. And I got a phone call years later that they wanted me to do this thing with Maria Bello. They were redoing for
She's
NBC. They were doing
she's
Prime Suspect
incredible. She's
for
so
Prime
great.
Suspect. So Aidan
Oh.
Quinn, Maria Bello, and they did this NBC series. And it's like, and I saw the name Alex something or other as the showrunner, and I was offered it. And I show up
Yeah.
at NBC, and this woman walks down through the whole lot of them and goes, "Hey, Mark," pulls me into a huddle with Aidan Quinn, and I'm sitting there going, "Oh God, I forgot who this was." So the Alex Cunningham that was running the show was Alexandra Cunningham. I'm sure it's Cunningham. I got it wrong. I do apologize. But so I was like, and it was just like, okay, so this is where we want to go. So she goes, "I kept you out of the pilot deliberately so we can slot you in." And they created me as the backstory for Maria Bello's father's past.